There's a few things that I think make for a good book. Interpretive potential, depth of ideation, spirit of the work, evidence of agency, and the depth and quality of language. So first, interpretive potential. Are the ideas and scenarios broad enough to invite a number of different meanings? Is the writing functioning as a kind of hand-holding to tell you what to feel at every moment? Or is there some breathing room that allows the reader to use his or her free use of their own experiences or their own memories to inform how they read the text? Does the writing show or does it tell? Showing involves using metaphors and imagery that spark a reader's interpretive potential versus telling, which tends to close off interpretation. Next is depth of ideation. What is a work trying to do? How consistent is it in achieving it? How thought out do you think this goal is throughout the work? If the writer is strictly appealing to sentiment, it may not have the balance of other aspects like self-awareness or reason. Basically, how well do you think the writer carries out his or her own goal of the work? Third is the spirit of the work. So this is probably the most subjective one. How much does this book feel like a real, living, breathing thing rather than a copy or a reproduction of something? There's this idea in critical theory which started around the time that things were able to be reproduced either through the radio or through recorded sound or through just artistic reproductions of paintings, that with the copy or with the reproduction, there's something that's missing that was present in the original object, we'll say. People like Walter Benjamin have called this the aura of the work. I'm kind of taking that idea and calling it the spirit of the work with literature. Evidence of agency. Something has to make you either want to read more or think it's important to read more. Now, I think this will be different for different people, but it could be, do you want to just find out more about a character? Is the language unique or beautiful that the story doesn't matter so much? You just want to appreciate the words and the formulation of sentences? Or is there something gripping you in the plot that's easily pulling you along? And there are storytellers today like Stephen King who are very popular, who I do think are exceptional at this. Does that necessarily make for a great book that will be remembered? Lastly, the depth and quality of language. Does the language appeal to something higher than what you're used to in everyday colloquial speech? Does it, in a sense, elevate? Regional and populist writers do this all the time with great success, people like John Steinbeck or Mark Twain, but it's the intent behind those colloquial moments, or the narration around those moments, that could let you know the quality and depth of language that's being used. And this also doesn't mean that language has to be beautiful or simply full of imagery. It just has to express something that you wouldn't otherwise get in everyday speech or emails or text messages. So that's some general criteria that I'm using as I read all of the books that I do. Again, I'm not looking for all of these things in one book, but rather kind of a balance of all of them. Some books may have more elements of one than the other, but I tend not to enjoy as much books that solely rely on one of those things. So with that, enjoy my reviews.